studies. Before we begin, a little information on BSG and its latest digital magazine. Boston Study Group is a nonprofit registered with IRS under 501c3 and an Ambedkarite organization in New England, USA area dedicated to working towards justice and equitable society. We organize study groups, monthly meetings, lecture series, and other social activities in Boston area to create educational and organizing infrastructure to carry forward our mission. Our membership is composed of individuals, families, students, scholars, academics, and workers who share our vision of equality and upliftment of people. We are particularly interested in creating support structures and working with students from historically marginalized background. We are inspired by those who work for human welfare, from Buddha and Sant Ravidas and Savitri Mai and Jyotibai Phule to Parivar and Dr. Ambedkar. We have recently published a magazine called The Awakened. It is a digital magazine that provides a platform for all Ambedkarites in a diaspora to share their stories, thoughts, views, and talents to enhance the Ambedkarite movement. The intent is to publish the magazine twice a year, in a spring and in fall, and we look forward to literal contributions for our future issues from Ambedkarites across the globe, including our young Ambedkarites. So we have our guest speaker today who will be involving us in learning valuable information for 45 minutes, followed by 30 minutes of question and answer if anybody has curiosity and explore the possibilities and learn from our speaker. So today's speaker is Andy Swarna. And he's from Secunderabad, India. He worked as a software professional in USA in 1999. In 2002-2003, he worked at a law firm in Washington, D.C. because of his interest in resolving one of the major issues ever, the long-standing human rights religious freedom conflict. He believes the story of conflict resolution addresses all the issues due to our underdevelopment in our regions of identity, belief, race, caste, gender, ethnic, and language, the key elements that makes us universally human. He recently has published a book called Religious Freedom Forever and American Value Forever, the solution to thousands of years of ideological problem. He also has a blog and channel if you would like to follow. He has been working on a program, Live Your Great Truth, Be Solution Provider. Thank you, Andy, for being here today as a speaker. We all are eagerly waiting for you to hear from you.
Thank you, Priya, for the introduction. Thank you, Boston Study Group, for hosting me today, for inviting me today to speak on my publication and my project. And I thank Dr. Venkat Marozu and Sanjay ji and Heman ji for speaking or on it and communicating or on it. And so I would like to, because this is a Boston Study Group and this is Ambedkarites oriented objectively, and I would like to start giving little what I know about Dr. Baba Saheb. Actually, how Dr. Ambedkar got an opportunity to write the Constitution. I just want to give a few words on that. It was not easy for him to just, because he was highly educated, he was a lawyer back then. He just didn't get the opportunity. He was involved with freedom fighting. He was making the issues of Dalits, all the backward classes, very strictly in Hindu community. He was making the cases of all those people who were representing politically in a political struggle. Just because making those case of them, he didn't get the opportunity to write the Constitution. Indian Constitution was written by, before independence only, by Gandhiji. And when he wrote his own Constitution, and it was written by Nehru and Patel and everybody. And their opinion was that instead of putting, this what Gandhi wrote as a constitution, we can use Mahabharata itself as our constitution. If you read Gandhiji's book, My Experiment with Truth, and if you read Ambedkar writings, you'll find this information. This is what I have written. I have what I read from those books. So it was after dissatisfaction of Nehru, he wrote a letter to one of the professors in Oxford, asking for help to write a constitution for India. And the response he received was, there are only 4 people who can write the constitution in the world. One of them is in your own country. And that's how Baba Saheb got the call from Nehru, and they had a dialogue, and in the dialogue he agreed to write a constitution, and so forth. The reason for me referencing this particular event in our history, which is very dear to us, which has given the rights, which has given the organization, which has given the community, which has given the voice, and so forth. Whoever we are today, with education, with a good living, we thank every opportunity to say, we are doing well because of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, what he has done, his vision. So similarly, but myself, I involved with this religious freedom issue in America is not because I was educated in religious studies or political studies, or I was expert in a sociology. Absolutely, I do not have any background of, which is very much what, academically speaking, and this group, especially the Boston Study Group, is very core intellectually, thorough-oriented, subject-oriented group. Myself being engineering background, electronics engineering, and this subject happened to be in faith and politics. And this is purely my personal study, what I know, what I think of the society, during my own conversations, what I had in mind. Even though, to add one personal note here, I used to be really, really good in social, but just because of career oriented, I did engineering to do, so that's generally a typical way of how we generally pursue education in India. It is not unusual in any household, particularly speaking. So my thinking, reading, and all that, everything is in my mind. And so I came here as a 1999, and I joined in the law firm. I got married, and I settled in DC, and I found a job in a lobby firm. It's called Patent Box. Now it is called Square Patent Box. And I used to work in a IT department. And so during very informal conversations, one of the time, another Indian, ethnic Indian, but he was from British Indian ethnicity, from British citizen. So we had several occasional conversations, and one of the conversation on one particular fine day was politics and faith and culture and all that. And he asked one question, and I just answered one question. I did a very informal answer I have done. But that particular opinion, it just triggered the whole law firm. At that time, the idea was that all truths are different than the truth that God exists. That's the conclusion of the idea. And so that law firm, they have some religious freedom departments or lawyers who are interested, and it just caught their ears, and they did the political network, legal network. There are already so many organizations are there who are working on this issue. The issue was the Roy Moore 10. If you search everything, you can find online also. It's called a Roy Moore 10 Commandments tablet in front of Alabama courthouse. So he put 10 Commandments tablet in front of courthouse, and there's a fight going on between there are two different ideologies that are there. Very conservative ideology, that is, this nation is built on Judeo-Christian values, So we need to preserve those values through government also. There is another ideology that says, no, 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 no. This nation is built on, religious freedom. Everybody who fought for this nation, they all wanted. Nobody wanted government to make any role in their faith issues. They wanted to be free from political tangle. So that was the basic ideology. And they always fight each other, and they have many issues going on. This issue was this Roy Moore issue was a lot of congressmen was involved. Congress Hill was involved. It's been going on for 10, 20 years, I guess, at that time back then. So I did not dig in more detail, but it was very hot issue back then. So these law firm people, they did the political legal network and removed the 10 Commandment tablets from the courthouse. And they felt it is very harmonious thing, and they felt it is they're doing the service to the nation and all that. But it did not end very harmoniously. Although politics came into my life. What does that mean is politics is contending. Like if you look at, we have been watching elections every time we watch elections. Recently also we are watching Monogodi election. I hope many people who are from Hyderabad, they're very aware of it, what I'm speaking. So people fight, they go to any extent to win the particular, position, so forth. But this ideological fight is something that, what is, to put it in an example, let us say between a father and son or a father and daughter, for example, if son or a daughter comes up with a brilliant idea, and that parents will do everything in their power so that it can be really, it can really benefit their child. But in this case, if it is someone else's child, and which doesn't really affect negatively to the other side, to the neighbor, they do everything in their power to obstruct, to stop that particular idea to grow. So this idea, because of there are two different angles, and my idea happened to be outside box thinking. I did not belong to any, even though I did not belong to, I was not really representing any particular religion, so that they can come and rescue me. No, 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 he represents us, so we support him. Or as I was not representing any political party, so that they can come and rescue me or support me. No, this idea belongs to us, so we really support this idea. So nobody really, it was happened very private, very personal idea. So there was like very orphan. So how things happen in what politics does is, if anything can be done with behind the doors secretly, they try to make it happen secretly, so that you compromise with it, or you try to dilute it. You try to do everything in the power so that it vanishes, it loses its core value, so that their value, their thinking, their ideology can advance. This is a very basic understanding. It's not new to anywhere, any political. So, but this here, in this situation, so-called this conflict and hard conversations, what I put it as, conflict and hard conversations, this secret or private, very personal influence, what I call it is external influence and behaviors that you don't have any control over, with a large set of groups, and me being an individual, and there is no directly coming, nobody is coming to really put it as out to set up as an organization, to come up with some sort of notice, public notice, or giving some award recognizing, okay, we accepted this particular idea, so it's we responsible for this. So it happened as it did not happen very official. There was no officially formal acceptance of it. Happened very, okay, I said some idea, some brilliant lawyer liked it, and they have connections to politics, and they did the work. So it just happened, everything happened inside the door. So this whole setup has witnessed what I call is conflict and hard conversations. They witnessed nature witnessed conflict and hard conversations. That is the break even here. Nature respond. This is called prophetic work. This is called, see, it's a biblical term actually. Prophetic work is a biblical term. So this is the break even here. Why I became important. In my bio, when Priya asked me, it is one incident with history, what I mentioned. It is not an ordinary incident. It is one of the rare incidents in the history which change the course of how people think and how people behave. Every time, let us say, um, very big issue in a sense like how when British came and they just came to sell to do the business, but happened to conquer the entire country, for example. Or some Brahmin killed King Ashoka grandson, and the entire country changed to Hindu nation. So it's one of the rare incidents in terms of how people think. Now, why I say that is, whenever nature witnessed means divine intervention, that is the terminology we have to use here. So they're not able to just stop it. They're not able to say no to it. They're not able to. So basically, their idea is believe or not to believe. Some one group will say I believe in God. Other group will say religious freedom. So according to my ideology, belief in God should be a solution, not a problem. So that was my thinking. It is everybody who says everybody who says I believe in God is in trouble here. My idea was that politics cannot just cannot decide who is individual to God. So who is individual to God? Who can answer? A faith cannot answer. Interfaith cannot answer. Multi-faith cannot answer. Intra-faith cannot answer. Or God and nation cannot answer. Who is individual to faith? So that is the new concept came into evaluation. So the question was like, the title of the subject itself is Truth is Now Great Truth. So truth is now great truth is nothing but in truth we are many. Now great truth is universally many. So who is individual to people? Who is individual to God? That is a new resolution, new evaluation, or new revelation. Who is individual to people? Who is individual to God? So in a way now, what happened is whenever there is this, what is the, how to center myself? That is the first question. If I want to solve any problem, forget about the entire whole world problems here. There are so many problems here between me and the next person. If two different people, they have to center themselves. They have to be they have to accept themselves, one by identity and one by belief. Is that possible? If that is possible, then they can become universally many to one. That means so far we are underdeveloped by all the origins as an identity, belief, or the racial issues, or gender issues, or ethnic issues, national issues, trust issues, loyalty issues. Every issue is connected with either identity or belief. Every nation spends a significant portion of the budget on security because humans don't live as solution to human problems. We ourselves don't live as solution to our own problems. This is where most of the nations, or the big nations, or the US alone spends around 50 cents, sometimes 60 cents, sometimes 70 cents per dollar on security. Because the issues that come up with this is the conflicts that arise is everything comes with identity issues or belief issues. So the question is, what is the enthusiasm missing is? Enthusiasm is nothing but energy is missing is, there is so much information, there is so much subject knowledge, but all this subject knowledge is, when it comes to this identity and belief, are used, this all these talents, they use only to put conflict. Like a science and technology, all the knowledge that is used to solve a problem. If there's a medical issue, why don't you use so much knowledge? There is, why don't you go to America, or why don't you do something else? We have this advice, these are suggestions, this is some direction, because this medicine is universal. Whereas the loyalty, the trust, the security, the safety feeling when it comes to identity and belief, all the talent and the knowledge, that all the subject expertise, this competition, these comparisons, this everything, they built up only conflict, problem after problem, problem after problem, not the solution. So that is exactly what I'm trying to address here. Can you have the, can we have a center as an identity and belief? Can we build that center? Are you one of us by identity and belief? Who is individual to God? Who is individual to people? Can we have that unity here? When we have, it is possible to have that unity. How this possibility is, as these 20 years of work, after so many question and answers, so I have defined how people are born with race by birth, people are born with nationality by birth, people are born with religion by birth because of their parents, of course, caste, genders, and so forth and so forth. The question was, how can you distinguish something universal by birth itself? My answer is that we, of course, every child is born with race, nationality, and so forth, but also as a thought and resource to thought. That is a natural identity. See, that is the distinction here. How to put yourself in a position where by birth you can think that you are meant to solve a problem, not to create a problem. If you think that I'm particular caste or particular nationality, but you're also born as a natural identity, which is a thought and resource. You can be resource to thoughts, and you can build a community, you can build a society, you can build a harmony, you can build a peace, you can build certainty. These are the core issues. So how to put a perspective from the birth itself? That's the first thing. Before we can, we have already this many human rights. We have legends. We know how the nation has taken a birth. We know how the human rights came into picture. We know who are the anybody can answer who is the best person you like and why that person really influences you. Yes, we have all those heroes, but all those heroes' work is not universal, because we cannot put them in the perspective of universality. We cannot just say that universal. How can anyone work is universal when you're not coming out as a universal person? Let us say, and if you want to remove a caste, that was the first application I just thought of to speak on this particular group, is that caste is a big issue. We are talking about caste and we want to eliminate caste. We want to, Ambedkar itself wrote, annihilate caste. How that annihilation caste can be possible? Without marriages, intermarriages, it is not possible. Without intercaste marriage, it is not possible. Without so many solutions exist for caste but the reality is that caste is a social respect. Caste is a economic power, political power, and also religious text. If anybody who cannot address these four categories, nobody is truly really addressing the caste issue. So what I say here is, first thing is you have to be a solution to religious issues. That's the first thing. Second thing is you have to be a solution to social issues. And for that, the consciousness that I speak is, who is the person next to you? The person next to you could be father, mother, brother, sister, or a friend. But when the person next to you is, we understand each other, you can have a conversation, not just up to, I believe in God, but until belief in God should be a solution, not a problem. So this is the consciousness I speak of. What is the identity of we understand each other? What is the identity of belief in God should be a solution, not a problem? In this perspective, you can bring all the knowledge into you, whatever the knowledge is possible, to make it a non-conflict, make it a unity, not to divide. That is the universality that I would like to bring in. So I can stop here, or we can ask questions, or I can speak more on this. Hello?
Anybody has any questions? Oh, we have Jagannath.
Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Namo Bodha, Jai Bhim, Brother Randy. You in a very subtle way, you are very sharp and very clear on identifying the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem of nations spending much of their economy for defense, rather than human welfare and social welfare. So my question is this: if so, United Nations, for example, have been focusing on many issues. Let us take the issue of water and sanitation. 2010, the United Nations General Assembly took a resolution that water and sanitation are the fundamental human rights.
True.
And I want to just put why the endangered communities, educated in the endangered communities, like you and me, we are not going in line with the UN resolutions, so that we have to say, look, we do not want to go for this nationalistic, short-sighted approaches, but we are something different as professionals, being a lawyer, being an academician. You see, there is some big problem of, say, for example, Boston Study Group, and I was going through the website and the digital magazine. See, we have everything, but we don't have that cutting edge.
Right.
That we are one people, one earth, especially when we become endangered, it becomes more of a necessity to come together. See, my simple question is, why the enlightened Buddha, you see, is not igniting us? Why enlightened Buddha is not igniting us? Of course, Dr. Ambedkar is a handpost for us, whereas Buddha is the lighthouse.
Right.
So my simple straightforward question is that, why is that as intellectuals, as learned people, the endangered community, I don't want to use the word Dalit and these scheduled tribe, these are nonsense words. They do not mean anything except the political connotations. So my question is very simple. Why is that the educated lot, the literate lot?
Yes.
Kindly, this, if you can throw some light on that, I will be grateful to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, see, United Nations Sustainable Program, poverty is recognized, hunger is recognized as a universal problem, because it has an agenda, it can get its approval. Most of the people go to bed with one meal a day. That's a big issue. And people live with poverty, water. There are some universal issues that consider as everybody needs to address in each and every country, because they, academically speaking, they think they have a plan and they can get resources and they can ask for funding, they can prepare a plan and approach for it. That's point one. But when it comes to they're solving a problem that is poverty, it's a universal issue. But what about uh, uh, what is the self-worth? What is the self-worth they're looking at? Self-worth in the sense, education is a self-worth. I have someone doing a degree or someone doing a PhD and get qualifications is considered as a self-worth. But we don't see the self-worth so far. This is the new work. Exactly why what I'm saying is truth is now great truth is there is no self-worth that is considered as a solution to religious issues or identity issues. So far, these two are only pursued as a human right. There's a freedom, and you have a freedom to speak, you have freedom to believe or not to believe, you have freedom to vote, you have freedom to or ask a question, you have freedom, so many rights. Those are considered as rights. But there is no something called like a doctor, like an engineer, like a scientist, and so forth. How what is the qualification that is known as a solution to conflict in the faith and politics? That is universal. That doesn't exist. So the distinction here is, if Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he is as a who wrote a constitution. Similarly, every country has, like US has its constitution. They have these principles. But when it comes to self-worth, there is no self-worth. Like, I'm a solution to religious issues, so I can build a community, and that can build that expression in the society. When I'm solving a poverty issue, that means I'm making someone sleep after having 3 meals a day. That is known as achieving the objective. But how I'm really solving a peace issue, how I'm solving conflict issue as a human who is known as identity and belief and behavior. As a human is living solution to identity issues, as a human is living to belief issues. That qualification doesn't exist. Now, this is the new qualification that I am providing. Any other? Yes, I hope I answered the question.
We have Megha. Megha, please go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question, and there is a conflict in between backward communities as well. I want to explain it how it is. And I personally feel casteism will not go unless we have a dependency on forward communities.
Right.
If you see in offices, we are like very, very less. I was always alone in my team from my community, and on floor also we were, I think, 2-3 people. Rest everyone was from forward community. So dependency is there. And some people, they did not face casteism. One girl I have seen from tribal community, she did not face casteism at all in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very, very pretty, very beautiful. Senior managers were trying to talk to her and say hi to her, although she was a fresher. All engineering pass outs, we all got jobs. And then everyone was ready, even in parking also, if she will cross any senior group manager also, he will also talk to her. And she got married to a Brahmin person, and they very happily accepted her. And everyone was ready, and everyone was very hurt when she sent her marriage invitation also. Like, see, if a person is from tribal community also is acceptable if the person is very, very beautiful. So this one criteria, if you place 100 good looking people in market in various fields, maybe they will be able to pull good money, if strategically you put that. And now conflict is one, like Baba Sahib converted all the members from our community, like 2% or whatever it is. In 1956, we got converted. And then we are Buddhist from then till now. And some families I noticed, they were Buddhist all the time, and they face a lot of problems because we normally don't want to discuss about problems. We only want to tell how good was Mr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, what he did, and then we will speak bad for Manuwad and Hinduism, and then our topic gets closed.
Right.
So there are people who are having a lot of problems. All the time we are saying Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya, and then over. So by saying this Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya, our families had 7-8 children in families. And then salary is very less. They don't know what to do. And even now also a lot of Ambedkarite groups want to help people, want to help poor people who scored 75, 85%, 90%, or maybe more than that. So someone who is scoring really very high, you only want to help that person. But the person who is failing in exams, who are not having that background, nobody wants to help them. Now they were Buddhist since 1956, but now, and the children born in 80s and or maybe 90s. So family was in pain, and the salary which man was making was very less. So family was facing problems everywhere. Nobody wanted to be with them and all. And then Christianity has come. So Christian people from churches, although they do have that forward community churches and these scheduled caste churches and all, that is there. But even though they identified people who are facing a lot of problem in their personal life, and then they sent their people to their family. They said they wanted to help them, but only condition was you have to accept Christianity.
Yes.
They convinced them. Multiple days they went, and finally they agreed. And the church has done a very good job, I must say. They 7 children, and then this husband, wife, 9 people. One more family I have seen there also. That girl was very talented. She was not very good in studies and all. Everyone cannot get into engineering and medical, you know. It's not something everyone's cup of tea. But then she was good in cooking skills and all. But then again, she was extremely poor. So Dhamma is Dhamma or Buddha Vihara or Bhandejis or we all Ambedkarites. We have no time. We are already busy in our offices. So that girl was also convinced by these churches, and they gave her initial support. These families also, they gave all the support to them to make them financially well-to-do, whatever talent they had in them. So like this girl, they gave her training, they gave her initial finance for attending the classes in that cookery and all. And then now she is actually running a very good that catering business. She's handling around 70 members under her. We had a function first of November, and we gave order to her. And that time I come to know that she was Buddhist before, and now she's Christian, and she's happy Christian.
Yes.
And now see, when this conversion has also happened, this all has been taken care very, very peacefully.
Yes.
Like Mr. Rajendra Pal Gautam and everyone, they all hail that 22 pratigyas, you know. We will not hum Vishnu ko nahi manenge and all. But then this girl, when she converted to Christianity, she did not create any 22 pratigyas and all.
What is the question?
Yeah, so my question is, like, if they will create this kind of 22 pratigyas, then Ambedkarites, Buddhists will be okay with that or not?
See,
because we will get hurt. I am Buddhist. If anybody will say like, I don't believe in Baba Sahib, I don't believe in Buddha and all, I will get hurt. So can we understand Hindus are getting hurt by our pratigyas?
That's exactly the point. Consciousness is where people base themselves. They cannot go beyond. That is a condition. I myself studied in a Catholic school, and so nobody, because without Catholic school, there is no school for us. Okay, so we cannot go to other caste school, even if it's government, and study with them. It was not there socially. The structure itself we can understand. So we have, because there some Catholic school was there, we had studied basic elementary school study. We had in that remote village where we have studied. That's point one. That's a missionary work. So a lot of people benefited in my area where I was grown up. And without those missionary schools, nobody really cares. That's a fact of life. And point two, address the reason of consciousness is everybody wants to, everything that is going around the world, they want to put it in their own consciousness. Before Constitution came into picture. Now there is a Constitution, people are talking at least based on Constitution, because you're forced to talk on based on Constitution. You have to recognize the human rights. It's a big struggle. It's a big journey of human nature itself, that nobody can just, it cannot, it just it's achievement of human nature for the benefit of human nature. The point one. The point two here is these consciousness, they only look at as a big picture, as institution. That's a condition. Anybody who is serving, whoever want to serve a particular individual, a needy person, there's an institutional condition that if you are part of us, you get the benefit. That's how we get the the whole process works. That's a fact of life. So now the extensive potential, like outside, if you're free to think, free to question, free to critically ask questions, what is the self-worth for that? What is self-qualification for? That's exactly what I'm talking here. Self-esteem, let us say self-esteem. Everything that comes on your way, you should be able to address in a way that it is known as a quality thought, not someone else's, not that someone else can put in a trash and it's not part of it. Nobody should be able to say that. The big problem is that so-called consciousness is something that you attach yourself because you're resourced to it, you've grown with it, and it is very hard to grow out of it. Anything that don't identify Krishna consciousness, Buddha consciousness, they live with that names and they cannot come out of it. And the person who accepted, even Baba Sahib married to Brahmin wife, and if you look at history also, people say whoever doing well, they did intercaste. They always talk about it. But the fundamental is that that's exactly the value that I'm saying is, whenever you say what is your caste, my caste inspires me to build casteless society. Can you say that? Can you bring that quality into your life? Can you speak on that way?
Of course, I want to
yes.
Expecting to have a casteless society, we also need to forget caste.
But for that, there is a consciousness. You need a consciousness where it can answer all the questions. You should be able to politically. You should be able to have an expression. Economically, there has to be strengthening. And spiritually, you should be able to answer every question. It just doesn't happen as one part of it. It has to happen on all four categories. And these four categories can only happen when you say that there's a good quality in your personal life. And that quality comes when you answer every other question that comes on your way. That builds a self-esteem, right? If you want to go to a luxury shop, and if you don't want to go to Walmart, for example, it's a self-esteem question. Even though you live in US, you want to go to best shop, for example. But you miss the ordinary life too. Ordinary life is real actually. Anybody who faces a problem, they always look for someone talk to them, someone spend time with them. That's a very, very basic core of ordinary life. And they don't see it as going to Walmart like, serving ordinary life too. Or you're part of ordinary life. Your ordinary life is not detached from you. It's always attached from you. So there's very quality of life, how people think and how people act and how people build this, network. That has to happen as organizational expression, doesn't happen as, and that has to be considered as a self-worth. It's your self-worth. It's self-qualification you're speaking. You're living with it. You're breathing with it. And that has to become a social expression, a political expression. Yeah. So it is a journey. So I hope you join Great Truth. Yes.
I personally feel like we need to respect each other, irrespective of our region, religion, community, country, race, whatever it is. But somehow I feel like there is a chance of having a very big conflict in between Buddhist Ambedkarites and the Christians, because now that is increasing. And the way we are behaving and speaking on calls that...
See, Buddha did not speak about God. He spoke one time, gods, after death, what happens? There will be a choice. according to Buddha, either you want to take a rebirth or you just want to, you don't want rebirth. If you read Buddha, the preachings of Buddha, two options happens after death. And he never talks about God. He will say gods doesn't exist. That's what he will say. So he's all about struggle and resolve, struggle and solve. Whereas other religion, they talk about particularly God. So yeah, so my work is on faith and politics. So that's exactly my consciousness. Belief in God should be a solution, not a problem. It has to start from we understand each other to believe in God, the solution. Yes. So whole thing come into one picture here. You're not really detaching from anyone. You're not you're integrating everything. That brings the quality into you.
But I feel whatever points you said so far till now, but Ambedkarite Buddhists are little different. I personally feel.
Sure, we need it doesn't take in one, right? We need to ask questions.
That's what they are doing, but I normally had a lot of arguments. Everyone was saying no, we should speak 22 pratigyas. I said we need to survive. Money is very, very important.
True.
We cannot say it is everything, but if man cannot speak Jai Bhim Namo Buddhaya all the time when he doesn't have sufficient money for his children, and what we are going to and my office colleagues, after all this, what they were saying, they don't know actually. I belong to scheduled caste or I'm Buddhist. They don't know. Nobody knows in office. Nobody can even think. So, but they are more in number. I was the one. They will be like 10, 11. They were saying what exactly this scheduled caste Buddhist people want. हम करें क्या उनके लिए? अब जो हो गया है वो तो हो गया है, बट अभी हम क्या करें? वो स्टेज पे जाके जो बोल रहे हैं अंबेडकर सर जो है, इतने उनके डैडी, उनके जो ग्रैंडफादर है जो इतने हाईली एजुकेटेड है, बाबा साहेब अंबेडकर, and look at the language of this person who is actually saying I am grandson of Mr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. His Hindi and that language, the words which he's speaking is really bad. And abhi we all are software engineers, and they were saying like कि वो चाहते क्या है कि हम क्या करें, अब जो हो गया है वो तो हम बदल नहीं सकते हैं, बट अगर वो स्टेज पे जाके हमारे रिलीजन को बोल रहे हैं कि मैं ये नहीं मानूंगा, वो नहीं मानूंगा, तो हमको ऑब्वियसली बुरा ही लगेगा ना. अब उनका रिलीजन कल को कोई छोड़ के जाएगा तो उनको भी बुरा ही लगेगा. वी नीड टू बी वेरी प्रेजेंटेबल. वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड that we don't have our own companies. We still don't have software companies, and you are not releasing offers after converting. If you release offers and give me an offer letter that from today onwards you need to join this office, you don't need to go to that office, then also okay, but I need to work with them and they're very good with me. They're not disrespecting me. So somewhere I think now Ambedkarite Buddhists need to be very mature, because what Baba Saheb did in 1956, maybe he could have not done that today. He was a very intelligent person. He evolved in his journey. So how is that possible? Like within these 66 years, that man will not think anything new. And Navayan Buddhism is all about thinking new and doing new. But Navayan Buddhist is actually not happening because our people are so rigid. They don't want to think anything new. So that Navayan is not actually touching heart, We need to think new. We need to respect everyone. Hindus are not so bad. They are very, very good with us. So we cannot tell them like what you people did when they are actually doing good now.
Yeah.
So we all
what is called self-radiant. Self-radiant. When you renew yourself all the time, you become self-radiant.
On very last call, here itself, one lady said like, no, we cannot let go. Yeah. We cannot let go that Bhavis Pratigyas. We need to have that Bhavis Pratigya. We cannot let go. We cannot let go, but what exactly we want from them now?
Yeah.
We need to respect each other.
I think it goes back to the first point. You need to have this, we should be able to find the center within each and everyone. Without that, we cannot solve the problems. Yes.
And I think more problems are there when we are not ready to accept diversity very easily. We should accept it.
No, diversity is there. You have to be a solution provider instead of solution seeking. How you are solving a problem instead of solution seeking. If you are solution seeking, there can be many people, many solutions. When you're solving, there has to be one solution.
I tried to suggest many people don't add such kind of comments about Hindu religion. All the time, whenever they are free from office, they will only add post on Hindu religion. And I said, are we generating any revenue from this? Are we going to get any benefit from this so that we can help someone and get something for their family? But then also they have made it a culture that they did wrong with us, so we will add this post all the time. Believing in religion is not bad. It is not at all bad. If they are not doing anything bad, how it can be bad?
Yeah.
It is good only. I don't think there is anything wrong or bad in that. Even Sikh people in office, they're very good. So
Sure,
why
sure.
I should say anything negative for them? They are so nice.
Thank you, Megha. That was a really great discussion. We have others to ask questions. We have Venkat. Venkat, can you please ask your question?
Yeah. Thank you, Priya, and thank you, Andy, for a wonderful lecture. So, yeah, I mean, we saw just now how much discussion took place, even though we're all claimed to be Ambedkarites. This religion has become a very, very, very dividing factor, and people are, passionate about religion, even among, so-called, you can call, Ambedkarite population of India, right? I mean, I've seen this over and over again, not just on this platform. And one of the biggest thing I see now is among Indian, if you want to call scholar, scheduled caste or, Ambedkarites, religion is the biggest issue that is not helping them to come together. So in general, Andy, I know you have done a lot of work on this, about religion and great truth and, whatever, individual and what about these organized religions. So, at this stage, I mean, people like my view is the biggest human suffering happened in the historically because of religions. All the big wars, all the big conflicts, all the big human suffering happened because of religious conflicts. And it continues to, as humanity, we continue to pay the price. All the conflicts today, among the whole world, you go back to religion, okay? So my question is religion really good for a human being, especially given the price we have been paying, okay? And more and more, you can see there are people who say, they're, you can call atheists or non-believers, is growing, okay? As people are getting educated, as society is evolving more and more, I think if you add it, it's the second largest number that don't believe in any religion. So what is your opinion on, I have a very strong opinion. This religion is causing a lot of harm to, humanity.
Yes, yes. Well, really, thank you, Venkat Garu, namaste. So, religion is a force. As long as God is true, religion is a force. Human always think who I am. It's always exists. It is a question that carries on from generation to generation. That is a part of human nature. And every religion talks about good and bad about human and doing good deeds and all. Religion is the question is religion is to solve human struggle or not? If by religion, if someone acting by scripture, if some scripture is inspiring someone to do harm, and they justify it based on the religion, that is the whole concept. And other part is that religion is so forceful that it without religion there is no nation. That's the very fundamental thing how people think, because they are before nation. Religion is there before nation. Religion is there before states, and the conflict is religion don't see so far. If I'm asked, if I want to know about God, I have to know about God through particular pattern, so through a particular religion or through particular faith. So that is where the whole. That's exactly where I became outside box thinker. To my thinking, who is individual to God? Who is answering that question? Who is individual to God is something that is it. I'm becoming a Christ by faith as a Christian or a Buddhist or a Jain or Hindu, or who is individual to God as a interfaith, who is individual to God as a multi-faith or intra-faith within the Lutheran, Christian, or within the faith, intra-faith, like, or some other divisions, or God and nation. Who can answer who is individual to God? That is the question I answered in this book. So far, there is religious freedom. Now this book has God-fulfilled religious freedom. Who is individual to God is, it is the image of the person which is subjected to reason and circumstance. If God is forever, then as a soul, I'm living forever. There are some conclusions I have given on this book. Human cannot judge based on morality. It's God morality. God is a forever morality. If God is judging a human, then he is judging based on why he created the whole thing and what the soul is about, according to him. He can just say, from today you can live better, you're done with it. You don't have to go through so much of work and so much of learning, so much of this, and you're good with it. So there is we are living with a human interface. Let us accept as a human interface. Let us not decide the faith based on politics. That's the first conclusion. Can you make it is God and people, God and individual, not the God and government? That's the first question I have said. It is not God and people, but not God, government and people. If you put government in between, all the politics and all the legal activities, all the political activities come into picture. So that is the conclusion I have given. And also what I said is, it has to be one God, spiritual enrichment. If you divide God, then you're not really solving any problem. That's exactly, it's not many to, so far what we hear is, there are so many roads to go to God. But when you say universally many means, you're only one story. When your one story means one God, spiritual enrichment, it becomes. So there is some, how to become a solution. What is the solution here? If you want to solve a problem, every nation, if there is no issue in the world, almost 80 to 90% issues are directly or indirectly connected to religion. I mean, currently, I think, especially we are all from India who are here, we know how everybody is directly affected with the religious aspect or the political aspect of religion.
Okay, just one, Priya, if you allow me, one follow-up question. See, I have a very problem with the existence of God. Okay, that's the biggest issue. It's just not possible to comprehend, the concept of God. And you used very freely, and everybody uses he when you're referring to God. He. Okay.
Yes.
See, this is all fabrication, I feel, Andy. Okay. Why can't she be, God be she? Why can't it be something else? It's transgender too. I don't know why even gender has to be, So this is all human fabrication. Maybe at certain point, some people had to do that to, educate people to get them into organized way of living. But the very fundamental concept of God is troublesome. Okay. That's a problem. And if you take the God out of, thing, I think a human being will be a lot better person. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I think so. See, if you take the fear and greed out of human, nobody will believe in God. Okay, fear and greed. If somebody can grow out of that, then there is no God. Okay, I can tell you how many people will become non-believers, and those two human weaknesses are basically able to cater to this concept. But anyway, I don't want to argue here too much. But thank you, Andy. Thank you for.
Yeah. I just want to have one comment. He or she, how it come into picture is, it just doesn't happen like someone imagines or someone thinks. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
There is something called visions. When we say prophetic or prophet means, there is some interaction happens or some intervention happens, and it happens not as if like it just happened, it just vanishes. No, it doesn't happen that way. Let me say, I'm saying today, why story is a historical fact. That means it's recorded. It's not something that history means like a president of the country. Everybody knows president of the country. So everybody knows there is a history for it. When I say my story history means there is a particular way the government approaches to resolve issues, like a secret way, for example, counterintelligence way, for example. These are very book. Anybody who does the government work, it's a very bookish learning. It is there today. It was there 1,000 years ago. It will be there next after this also. So, and for them accepting it, this is something more than human life, more than human. What we are doing, what's going on here. So, and this doesn't happen as. Let me put it this way: if I am having something, if I have some vision when I was a child, and that is happening today, and when I had some vision in my child, and that vision is not just one day vision or 2 day vision, it is a vision of so many times, and that is happening after 30 years, and 30 years with some what as of today, the technology is so much that you can just read everything in the mind. It's not that I am telling you have to believe. So for everything is evidence-based or witness-based. So that is where the whole so-called integration or authenticity, or what makes it in this scientific world, what makes it a historical, what makes it a nature witnessed, what is this? This is the whole complexity, is like novelty, unusual, very rare, or something. It is 20 years, not just 1 day work, 2 day work, 3 day work, 20 years plus, 20 years or plus interaction. So yeah, so he or she is, that's the first thing. It just, nobody, I cannot just imagine. It's a voice, it's a love, it's a voice, it's a repetition after repetition, and the force, strength, strategy, all that. It is the soul, you feel it. It's not that someone thinks it.
Okay, thank you, Andy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Priya, I will take 1 minute. After listening to Megha and Venkat sir, and also your reply back, Andy, I have one very specific observation to make. It comes back to the same question I raised in the beginning. See, when we are having food, when you are having shelter, when you have security, we can go on talking like this. Just imagine for a while, if that is endangered, that's already happening. Climate change, for example, a girl like Priya age has seen her island very much existing when she was born. When she goes back now after teen or early 20s, the island is not there. That is, her home is not there. I was in America. In half a day, I found 6 climatic changes.
In America, okay. Which place is that?
Al Gore with George Bush Sr. had no money for climate change in 1992. Now Trump is going to his knees saying that Angela cyclone don't hurt Americans. Every third American is affected. What does it mean? It means people, the well-to-do people, rich people are not bothered. But what about the endangered community from the underprivileged people, which Buddha and Ambedkar are relevant today? To me, Namo Buddhaya and Jai Bhim is not just word. It's a way of life. I'm 65 years now, a space scientist. I'm actually involved in climate change. Okay? And actually involved in WHO, infodemic management. Let our younger generation understand one thing very clear. You say no God or God, what does it matter? Yeah? What is your way of life is important. As Megha rightly said, in your working community, working group, people respect you because of your human values, human endeavors, not because what your background is. That's why one of our great novelists in Kannada, in one of the novels,
human.
Yeah. Let me complete. One of our greatest novelists in Kannada, Yashwant Chittala, he wrote only 5 novels. You know what is the central theme of his novel? We are not born human beings. You are born to be human beings. There, even Newton, who was a Catholic, was a bachelor, was a scientist, he had the humility of Buddha. You know what he said? I'm able to see farther because I'm on the shoulder of my elders. Today, people like us who have seen reading, writing, security, food, everything, and a good bank balance, you can go on talking lightly. But I tell you, 76,000 nuclear warheads were there in 1980s. Now they have become to 14,000. Because I'm a part of the United Nations program, civic societies are rising to the occasion. Whether it's climate change, whether it's disaster, God or no God, religion or no God. Let me conclude by saying, very recently we had a partial solar eclipse. I was brought in Tamanga, so many Brahmin, pujaris. My simple question was this: don't mix faith, belief, and science. You're doing a wonderful blender. Don't move. When a man or a woman comes to know what is right and what is wrong, they'll simply check out what is not required. That is called conscience. See, age brings experience. Experience brings wisdom. Wisdom only can bring conscience. Conscience is the capacity to decide between right and wrong. People like us who got benefited from Bhimrao, see, Ambedkar, we should be, with humility, should say that we want to change our life. We want to be human beings. See, if we don't do that, we can go on talking. I want to thank in the end what Boston Study Group or ANA is doing. See, this critical mass to me is very relevant. The inertia has been set in. We require only the threshold point, and let us not make loose talks. You should show what we are. Let us act and show. And for example, what you have done, you have distilled your experience and brought out the book. I'm so happy and proud of you. See, that is what is required. I should speak of my experience. I can speak of my experience for 30 years. Without spending a single pie, you can educate people. We have done 4 models. That's come in NASA and Harvard now. Without spending any money. 1 hour a week only. Whether international environment, external environment, or space. See, so many things are happening, not coming to limelight. I want to once again thank Boston Study Group and the team. Our maybe a small group, I tell you. I want to conclude by saying a statement, what Margaret Mead said. Never suspect a group of small people, small number of people. If you see history, it's only this small group have made the change. Thank you very much. And it was a good presentation. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you,
Sure.
Chair. And do you have anything to say?
Sure. See, climate change is a very, what we're discussing. It's a science. The data of science and climate change is one thing. And human pathologically cannot ignore any issues that come into picture. If you want to advise a student where you want to join, what you want to do, and someone has to, and generally the famous advice is try to find your own interest. And humans cannot stop thinking, human cannot stop questioning, and the human only thing, anything, once you find it satisfied, fulfilled, that's when we stop. That's when we feel at least empowered. We have to feel empowered. We have to feel extraordinary potential. Extraordinary potential is something that's self-worth. I can do myself. I can have my own phone. You can have your own phone. Until then, as long as one phone is there, 10 people is there, there has a line for it. Problem is not solved. So that is the human, very how human is wired. We are connected to do. So the problem is that you came to conclusion of the conscience. We have to build on the conscience. You cannot. The problem I had with is that you cannot just say why you want to fight with God. Don't fight. It doesn't happen. How not to fight? If you don't tell how not to fight, why not to fight? Because there is always forces acting to one and each other. If I can tell myself how not to fight, and I can bring you into my horizon, then yes, I'm building a new expression, new consciousness. That's exactly what I'm doing. Belief in God should be a solution, not a problem. What it means and how you can center yourself with the next person.
And you should not forget what Desmond Tutu said. When white man came, he had Bible in his hand. We had land in our hands. Now we have the Bible in our hand, land in their hands. What does it mean? It means religion has been systematically used for the benefit of the ruling people at any given time. And we should tell the younger generation and including us, okay, please keep God with you. The same God is with us also. But let us bother about our property and our relationship with land and earning, and let us make a good living, safe for everybody. See, that's sort of that's what I call conscience. Conscience is not consciousness. Conscience is the capability to decide between right and wrong.
Yeah, but how? The question
This is only for
how?
enabling the individual to take care of themselves. Very simple.
Yeah,
If we do not enable them and say that Atmanirbhar, you will take care of your empowerment, enabling, it's all nonsense. You enable the people to care for themselves,
right,
whatever level that is. That is the best way of building the conscience. Then the God will be there. See, Anand movie, if you have seen, guide movie, if you have seen, Devanand becomes God. He's a disappointed in love, He's in a village. The rain comes because he's there. People start praying for him.
Mhm.
You don't say it's wrong. What is required is we should not mix the faith, belief, and science. All go well because it is recently UNESCO has agreed that science and culture are hinging with each other. It is in culture we have God, we have faith, we have belief. I think it is a strength point. We have experienced it in the COVID management, Unless you go with faith-based organizations, voluntary groups, civic bodies, you cannot manage any pandemic. Because one American company establishes a company in US, China, and both of them are having veto power. WHO cannot do anything. It's a systematic technological disaster made by mankind, which ate away $5 trillion of US dollars from an economy of $25 trillion, and millions of people died. So we are not having public health architecture being strengthened by conscience. So we should strengthen the civic societies and individual conscience. That's the only way we can live with the God, along with the God, and God will empower us and help everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Jagannathan. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. From our discussion, it was very wonderful discussion. Everybody had their questions, and it was very genuine question answer round. For me, the take-home message from today's discussion is just believe in whatever you believe in, and whatever you believe in should be the solution, not a problem. And every individual's upbringing should be in a thinking that we can create harmony and peace in a society. With that note, I thank you everybody again and end this session. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.